had a chance to...
We haven't had a game.
We haven't had a game, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't lost. Yeah, it's been a decent week, yeah. I appreciated the fact there wasn't a game this week, yeah, for sure. When you're going at it all the time, you do get into this cycle where it does become a bit of a grind, but you know you have to do it. There's no alternative. I can't not do things that I'm responsible for. So having the opportunity of, like I said, even this, not having to front up, 2 or 3 times and kind of answer the same kinds of questions allows you to sort of just take a breath and, yeah, hopefully I'm back to whatever I was before.
We are not winning games, and I understand the connection between me and Ange. We have the same problems. In my opinion, with all due respect, I'm in a bigger club with bigger pressures. Every game until the end of the season is a big game for us. We need to improve the way we play football, but especially we need to win. No matter what, we need to win. And for that, we need to improve the way we play football.
Yeah, Ruben Amorim saying he can see the similarities between the two. You do not expect Manchester United versus Spurs to be 13th versus 14th. But what he also said was he's under more pressure because he's at a bigger club. Do we agree?
He's not wrong, is he? If you're being honest, I think he's wrong. But at the same time, they are kind of fighting to see who stays away from relegation at the minute, aren't they? So regardless of your history, you're in the same position, and I think Ange would be under as much pressure. If it's less pressure, it's because Ange has had about 10 injuries more than him, and which he's having to shuffle. A little poor Archie Gray, correct? He's been playing centre-back, left-back, right-back. He's a centre midfielder, and he's done, for me, a fantastic job in that position. So it's going to be an interesting game.
What do you think about the pressure stakes?
I think, look, both of them are under pressure. I don't think he's wrong in saying Manchester United. I know Tottenham fans are going to come after me, but you would say they are one of the biggest clubs in the world, Manchester United. So I don't think he's not speaking true facts in that. So, but I think for each of them, they're under immense pressure given their own situations that they're in. But look, it's two teams that have underperformed, and as you said, we didn't expect them to be where they were. And for different reasons, and they both need to find a way out of it. So it will be an interesting game, and you can't call it. You don't know which team for either of them is going to show up in the game, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, Manchester United struggles certainly made more of. 4 wins in 13 Premier League games. Since Amorim took over in November, only 5 teams have picked up less points than Manchester United. What's happening? How are they struggling?
Not only are they not scoring, I don't think they really create that much. I feel if it ain't Ahmad doing something special or Bruno working his magic, there's not much coming from Xerxes or Højlund, who are meant to be their number 9s, or you don't expect them to score like your 20s, your Salah and your Haaland goals, but you're meant, a team at Man United, you have to be putting up 10, 12, 13 goals between you. You're playing enough games, you have the players in there to create those chances for you to put them away, but for whatever reason, they're just not doing it. And then on the defensive side, that they make a little bit of mistakes, Onana sometimes, or defenders, and they're not recovering from those mistakes. I think if they didn't beat City when they came back, I think at one stage of the season they would have been like 3 points off the drop, which for me, for a Man United team, it doesn't matter how good or bad they are, it's insane to hear and see.
One thing that you mentioned was Diallo and his moments of magic. No player has scored more goals or provided more assists, 6 for both, than Amad Diallo. I think it tells a story that he is the one who's standing out, that they are relying on him.
Star player, but when he's played him a little bit higher, he's kind of been restricted out of the game, so he's had to then drop him back into the wing-back areas to give him that space to take players on in that 1v1. But yeah, he has been the bright spark. And I think Garnacho has improved the last couple of games. Obviously, he was linked away. And that I wasn't sure what was going to happen there, because Manchester United, Amarim's come out and said, well, if I want to buy players, I've got to sell players. So, but to be fair to Garnacho, he's been a constant threat the last couple of games and has made a difference. But you looked at those goals there that they conceded so poor. The Newcastle game, tactically got it wrong. They got bullied. You know, the Brighton game there, we watched Matoma, the ball over the top. It's what we saw tonight. So these are trends from other teams that they're not picking up on. So defensively, not good enough. And he knows he's got a lot of work to do. And the thing for me is the transfer. If he's got to sell players to get players in, I think there's not. I don't know how many players want to buy any Man United players and for prices that they want either.
Well, since you're talking about transfers, left-back Patrick Dorgu became Ruben Amorim's first signing for United, joining from Lecce for £25 million. He's been speaking ahead of this huge game at Spurs.
I know I can improve a lot here, play with better players, and the league is the best in the world, so for me it was quite easy to take the decision, yeah. I already know it's a big club and the players are good. It's just about connecting in the games and getting used to the new system. For me, I was, of course, a little bit nervous because it was my first game, but it was a nice feeling to walk out. It was good atmosphere in the stadium. I like to get in the box and I like to be aggressive and to play with a lot of energy and hopefully get the fans going. He's been really good to me, helping me with the new system and everything, so it's good. Every player wants to be a starter, so I want to just improve myself to get as many games as possible. And for the team, it's the FA Cup and Europa League. It's the two main targets for us. Two big cup competitions that we are looking forward to do as best as possible.
Another thing that Amorim and Ange have in common is sticking to their principles and the way they want to play, and sometimes at the expense of players playing in different positions, perhaps what we saw with Dorgu in his first game.
I mean, it baffled me. You know, you bring him in, you give him his debut at home, and then you play him on the right-hand side, and he's a left footer and he kept coming in field and he was nervous. It wasn't right for him. You put on your debut, you put a player with that left foot, that pace, give him the width, give him that space. And he didn't. He played him on the other side, and I thought and then he brought him off at half time. I was fuming that he did that because I'm like, you've knocked his confidence in the first 45 minutes and you've told the rest of the world and the fans as well, no, he's got to bounce back for that. Instead of putting him in the position that you signed him for and giving him an area to thrive, again, that's sometimes where, similar to Man United, I'm like, I don't understand sometimes what Amorim's thinking or seeing. Sometimes it does baffle me what he does a little bit.
Let's move the conversation to the host Tottenham, because they are struggling as well. 6 defeats in their last 8. They won their last game 2-0 at Brighton. That was a huge victory for them. And at Brentford, and Ange is under huge pressure. We heard him saying he had the best week last week because they didn't play.
Well, yeah, but you can see it as that's Ange having a laugh in it.
Yeah.
That's him with a little bit of banter. But from his perspective, I can 100% understand what he's saying. He doesn't have to keep worrying about giving interviews, what happened here, but more importantly, is give some of the players that are injured some time to maybe be closer and closer to coming back. But as we know, our Ange plays, they take gambles, they leave holes, but there's so many players that they're playing without. I kind of feel sorry for him.
Yeah. He's had key players out as well, as you mentioned, critical ones in the back line. Mickey van der Ven, Dragushin's also out and I think has to have an operation. There's Odegaard, Romero. They haven't had Solanke, Udogie. It's been... He's talked about it. Other clubs have had injuries as well, but I think Tottenham lead the injury table in the Premier League, and it's big name players.
Yeah, they're starters, and as Sean was saying earlier, he's having to play young players totally out of position. It's okay playing senior players out of position, but young players as well. That's quite difficult, and when you're playing in Europe as well, so there's an extra, he's been saying it, they're playing 2 or 3 games, back to back with a smaller squad, a lighter squad, and the intensity that he wants to play at. And that's where the challenge is the intensity causing those injuries. And with those injuries, should he change it? But I like that he stuck to it because he wants to play that style and the fans wanted entertaining football, and you will always get that with him.
I didn't even mention Mickey van der Ven. Tottenham
you
have
did.
already... Oh, good.
I think you did, yeah.
Good, because that's critical. Tottenham have already beaten United twice this season. They played in the Cup and they won 4-3 and they won 3-0 at Old Trafford in the league. They've never done the league double over United. Will they ever have a better chance?
It's kind of unfair to say, will they have a better chance? Because there's a few players in this team that played that I don't think are going to be playing in this game tomorrow. And Van der Ven being one of them. He's massive not only in recovery runs, but as you saw just before, the way he breaks lines and he can make a goal up because nobody can get near him. But I know one thing, it will be an exciting game because obviously we know how Spurs play. If Ahmad plays and United try and catch them in transition after they've broke, it can open the game up a little bit. But I'm not sure yet. United don't seem to score that much. So it's just going to be interesting.
What do you think?
Do we have to do a prediction?
No, at the end of the show, but what do you think we're going to see on Sunday?
I just, mainly for the fans, I hope it's a good game. But like I said at the start, I don't know. I don't know either. You can flick a coin. I don't know what Man United team's going to show up. Will they fight and give it to the last 5-10 minutes and then kind of save themselves? You know, what Spurs going to do? Are they going to go all guns out and then fatigue at the end? Who knows, Jules? Ask me at the end of the show.
Yeah, we get your predictions at the end of the show. Yeah, I know you're looking forward to those. In the meantime, let's bring you some of the manager press conferences from some huge fixtures this weekend, including Aston Villa taking on Ipswich at Villa Park. Marcus Rashford could make his Premier League debut for Villa after signing on loan from Manchester United. The forward was a second-half sub in the FA Cup victory over Spurs.
The challenge for the player we joined it last month. Of course, they are very good players, and they carry for different circumstances. At the end, they are here. But the challenge we have with them, and the challenge they have individually as well with us, is high challenges.
Nottingham Forest can go 7 points off the top of the table if they beat Fulham at Craven Cottage. Their last Premier League outing saw Forest thrash Brighton 7-0.
We have to enjoy it. That's just what we've been saying. We have to enjoy it. I think the players enjoy working together. They enjoy competing, and we are looking forward to the match. Nothing changes.
And there's been bad news for Arsenal this week. Forward Kai Havertz will miss the rest of the season after suffering a hamstring injury at their training camp in Dubai, leaving the Gunners short of attacking options.
Fortunately, we've been through a lot this season. We have played without Guy Magalhaes, without Saliba, without Ben White all season, Tomiyasu all season, Calafiori 2 months, Merino 2 months, Martin Odegaard 2 months, Bukayo Saka 3 months, Gabriel Jesus, all of them. So that's it. That's the challenge ahead. Love it and look forward because we are still where we are with all the things that I mentioned, on top of playing 4 times with 10 men, blah, blah, blah. So let's see what the team is made of.
They can sign free agents. How's Ian Wright doing?
I think he would come out of retirement. Just to put that shirt on one more time.
100%.
Yeah, just even for like 5 minutes, I think he would pop out just to get changed and just try and look the part with his shirt tucked in and all that.
So last season, they went to Dubai and came back with goals. This season, they've gone to Dubai and come back minus a goal scorer. That is huge trouble for Arsenal. There's no Kai Havertz, there's no Saka, there's no Martinelli, there's no Jesus.
Going to have to turn to the Wonder Kids. It's an opportunity now, isn't it? You know, for the youngsters to be given that chance, or maybe Sterling as well. Trossard, they'll have to step up some of the senior ones. But you know, when he's had his features and he's an absolute threat. Big fan of his. Like Mikel Arteta says, he's got to problem solve now and give other players the opportunity. But certainly not ideal. And again, 3 hamstring injuries to your 3 striking players. That is also a little bit of a worry and something maybe to investigate for the club.
Definitely, I would think so. What do you think about the options up front and who they could possibly use to plug that gap? The gaps, actually.
Well, they play really with a false 9 anyway. So, from what I see, if there's anyone to play there, I think Sterling's done it a few times at City. I would put him there. I feel like it'll be good for him. He needs a run of games, which he hasn't got. Wingers, I feel like, to get up to steam and to get to that level you want them to get to, normally come with a run of games and their confidence builds up from there. So I think for Raheem, this is that time now. And I think Nwaneri, I think he's a fantastic player, but honestly, I'm a Lewis Skelly fan, man. The kid is unbelievable. I'll go as far as say he's probably the best not even an actual left back, but is the best person I've seen at left back since Ashley Cole.
Big chops as well. Like, honestly, what happened in the Manchester City game, I know you wouldn't want to talk about it, but the nerve on that kid, man.
I just like his games and just banter.
Yeah.
If you give it, you got to take it. And he gave it back.
Did it against Spurs as well, didn't he?
I like that confidence, that little bit of arrogance. I think you need that as a kid coming through in this day and age, because footballers run a lot on confidence. And if you have that little bit of arrogance, I think that keeps your confidence at a certain level for me.
What do you think Leicester will be thinking, looking at Arsenal's injury concerns, their worries, who's going to get the goals for them, and Leicester in trouble, needing that victory?
Yeah, they massively need the victory, but I think all the pressure will be on Arsenal, and they'll probably be thinking, I hope they underestimate us. And we've seen, they played United in the Cup, didn't they, where they pushed them, and I know it's United, but there's elements where they do play well and they do have periods and they do surprise you. So I think, look, the pressure is on Arsenal, there's an expectation, but certainly as underdogs, you go into it, nothing to lose, go at them and put them under pressure.
So Arsenal thrashed Manchester City 5-1, sorry Sean, in their last Premier League match, and Pep Guardiola's City side host Newcastle in a huge game on Saturday. But can City get over that defeat at the Emirates?
This is a game that grabs attention right around the globe. It all kicked off the last time they met. It was tense and it was feisty. We can expect the same to happen again here. A mistake by Akanji, and Kai Havertz to Martin Odegaard! 1 minute 45 seconds! It's a good ball from Foden to Savinho, and Haaland gets up and he puts it into the back of the net! Partey will try to take advantage. Thomas Partey! They can't afford to just sit back. They've got to try and make it 3. Lewis Skelly! What a way to score his first goal for Arsenal! Kai Havertz! It's 4! Ethan Nwaneri joins the party. Arsenal have taken Manchester City to the cleaners.
We have done so far. We survived in the way we have done it, and we have to continue. I don't think so. We have to, to finish the season as best as possible. Every game, be aware what you're playing for our future, not for our present. And the exception is what I had done before in all our careers. This is exceptional. This is not normal as well, but maybe it's less exceptional. Maybe we finish 14th, 15th in the league, but we are 5th. We are not dropping like maybe other teams that had success or few success in the past. So
again, we look at Haaland's consistency over a long period of time. There's no doubting that, and Alex is certainly doing the same. Since he's come to this club, I think he's been absolutely sensational for us. So we're looking to try and get him in the game as much as we can. And I always say the same thing: we need to provide the foundation for him to perform at his best levels.
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating one to watch, isn't it? Haaland versus Isaac. What do we think of them as strikers? What makes them different?
Isak's all round. Run channels, hold up play, get in behind, be a fox in the box, got every element really. I think Haaland's mainly, he'll stay in his fixed position, and he's ruthless in the penalty area. That doesn't say one is better than the other. They're just a little bit more different, and they offer the teams differences, but both have been brilliant and both have been huge for their clubs this season.
I couldn't agree more with that, Karen. And I think in many ways as well, if you watch the way the teams play, I would say, like Eddie said, they play more towards Isaac's strengths, whereas I think in the City team, City will always play the way they're going to play, and Haaland fits in there, and they will see him when they need to see him, and he'll score the goals when he gets the opportunity. So for me, that they're completely different strikers. But Isaac, I would say, is more of an all-round complete striker.
Just looking at this encounter, while I was checking out, how they've done so far this season, it's City in 5th, Newcastle in 6th, and the thing that separates them in the table is goals scored. They have the exact same goal difference as well, so it's really close. And now that added carrot of Chelsea having lost tonight, so an opportunity to leapfrog them as well, Karen.
Yeah, look, they can try and get into that top four, like we mentioned that Chelsea game that we saw. It's a big game, but it's whether how fresh a Man City off after playing Real Madrid. And I'm sure Newcastle are recovered and hopefully not thinking too far in advance of the cup final, because this is a big opportunity for Newcastle to maybe strike while there's a bit of fatigue there and try and bridge the gap again. So it's a big opportunity for both, but I feel it's more interesting for Newcastle to really try and, because City have got the fragilities, and see if they can exploit them. Especially they're so physical, so dominant in that midfield, Newcastle, and if they can overpower City, they've got a great chance of a result.
Yeah, now they have one of their main men back as well. Callum Wilson scored in the Cup too, and should feature in this one somehow.
You would imagine he would feature, just of course to give Isaac a bit of a break, because he has been playing a lot and staying fit, considering last year he was injured quite a bit. But this is just Wilson. That's it for me. Is a great finish. His first touch inside and just outside of the boot, the prod there. So to have those two options and the players also playing well, like Bruno, I think Tonali's been outstanding since he got back and seems to be just getting better and better. And then in many ways you got Murphy, who's come from nowhere, who's just been a squad player for the best part of the 2 years that Eddie's been there, to now he's got his chance and he's taken it. And when you watch Gordon play, the maturity he's playing with now in comparison to last year in terms of the choices he's making, the runs he's making, the workload he's putting in, and he's playing with a very old head on his shoulders. So they're defensively in a very good position. The Bravaga's been doing well in goal, who's keeping Pope at the net. So if you're talking about teams in running form, you would say Newcastle are in a better run of form than City, but with it being at the Etihad, you know City's going to have a lot of the ball and create the chances. It's just whether Newcastle are going to capitalise if they get the chances that they want.
Where do you think City are at right now?
I thought seeing them, I'm going back to the Real Madrid game. There was elements where I thought they were back to themselves a little bit, but they're conceding far too late in games, which is a big worry. And he played 5 defenders the other day. John Stones in that centre midfield role, that holding position, which I think is probably the right move. I think they really miss. I know everyone said about it, Roger, but they haven't solved that problem and look too fragile in there. So there's elements where I saw the old City, but it's still the fragilities in conceding late in games, which has been a common theme. And
I think if Akanji doesn't get injured and John Stones stays in that number 5 role, it's easy for me to say it now, but I don't see the same mistakes happening, because I think he controlled the game. He was always on for a pass, whether it was from any of the defenders, the keeper, the midfielders, the attacker. John Stones was getting the ball, and I was there watching the game, and there were so many fantastic players out there to see, but I was just in awe of watching John Stones, the way he can just be a centre-back but play CDM and control the game as if he's a natural CDM. He made it look easy against a good Real Madrid team in that area of the pitch.
I love how you say CDM, isn't that the game?
Yeah.
You're so Gen Z.
Okay, so we are probably all still recovering from, speaking of dramatic midweek games, all still recovering from that dramatic finish in the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park on Wednesday. How will Liverpool respond as they welcome Wolves to Anfield? That's coming up next. Crazy into Wednesday's Merseyside derby, where Arne Slot was one of 4 men to be shown a red card after the final whistle. The Reds boss has been reflecting on all the drama.
I think what happened was that the extra time, intentional 5 minutes that ended up being 8. There happened a lot, and the emotions got the better of me. And if I could do that differently, if I look back at it, I would love to do it differently. I'm hoping to do it differently next time as well. We've been praised so many times this season about how well these players can play. But they showed a different side of themselves Wednesday. To fight so hard, to be mentally so strong, that gives me a lot of confidence for the upcoming 14 games. I already knew how well they can play, but the togetherness they showed during 98 minutes shows me that we are a very, very difficult team to beat.
Arne Slot has now been charged by the FA alongside his assistant in Sipke Hulshoff and could face a touchline ban. But the drama at the end of that, we have to relook at it. The late Tarkowski goal, the fight at the end, it was everything we needed really from the last Merseyside derby at Everton, wasn't it, Kaz?
I mean, dramatic ending. Everton really pushing for it, and you see him just coming up there. It was an absolute great finish from him on the volley, absolute rocket. And then it's just the scenes after, is it? Like everyone, it was just it was set up, wasn't it? The script for it to happen, but maybe not this. Obviously, don't want to see it like this, but that is the passion, and that's what we do want to see, the passion. But got a little bit out of control towards the end, obviously.
I couldn't agree more. I was saying to Karen before, I think it's been about 10 years since I've watched the derby and seen that much passion and emotion in it. Of course, I don't think the Corey should do what he did, and I don't think Curtis should have gone over and did what he did. But as for the rest of the game, I think every derby, you're meant to see yellow cards because you don't want to lose against your arch rivals.
Did you see on social media that Everton reposted it on request from one of their fans in the comments? They reposted the goal with the Titanic music playing at the end of it?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, I'll send it to you guys in DM because that goal obviously is what everyone was talking about in the wake of it for the 2-2.
But George, you know what? When I was watching the game, I think at the time Salah scores that goal, it was almost against the run of play. Although Everton weren't creating like chance after chance after chance, I thought Everton were the team that looked like they were going to move on to try and maybe make it 2-1, and it didn't happen. They go down the other end, and as Salah does, he gets that chance, and with his quality in the form that he's in, he puts it in the back of the net. But the desire and the fight, we haven't seen that at Goodison Park for a very long time. To hoof the ball in the box the way he did, because it didn't look like it didn't look like just like a cross. It's like, I'm going to get this in the box, and I know we have big players in there to try and make something happen. And boy, did they.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans would have been cheering it, Arsenal fans as well. That Tarkowski goal, especially because Liverpool would have gone 9 points clear, but then they were 7, as they currently are now. Do you know who missed the goal, though? Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta. Check this out.
I better not tell you the story, what happened.
Go on.
No. It was a funny one. Because I lost connection in that moment. I was watching the iPad and I lost the connection. We didn't know exactly what was going on. So, yeah.
So everyone has connection problems, including Arteta, to miss that, former Everton captain, of course, to miss that Tarkowski goal in the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. I want to talk more about Liverpool. And like I said, a chance to go 9 points clear. They're only 7 points clear, but still firmly in command.
Yeah, the title in many ways, the position they're in now is still theirs to lose. It's in their hands. And if they keep playing the way they have been, and that's meaning in the fact of even if they're not at their best, they still know how to win games or not to lose games. And I think if they can maintain that, I don't see why it isn't them that takes the title. But 14 games is a lot of games, and it's 7 points in it. You don't necessarily need to lose 3 games. You could draw 3 or 4 of them, and if Arsenal were on form on those days and capitalise, then the gap starts shrinking really, really quickly. So their game this weekend is, for me, in many ways, they have to win it. And the same as Arsenal. Arsenal will be hoping they slip up, but as long as they keep winning, there's nothing anybody else can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely. After 24 games played by everybody, the biggest points difference that's been overhauled is 5. So you'd think that Liverpool would be looking at that number and think they are sitting pretty, but lots still to do, as you mentioned. Playing against a Wolves side that got a win, a much-needed win, because they'd been on a run of 4 defeats in a row, and then they beat Villa.
Yeah, we covered this game, and they were the better team. You know, Villa were lethargic and Wolves are right at it. And look, when they've got a player like Cunha as well, I mean, this was brilliant. I love this. He kind of dropped the shoulder, moved his legs, and boom, clinical finish. That was lovely. But I think Wolves really deserved it. I think, like I said, Villa were tired. But look, I do think Liverpool are a different proposition. I do think you'd expect Liverpool to respond. But it's very rare in a week where Liverpool have lost 2 games. Sorry, not lost 2 games, haven't won. Lost in the FA Cup and then obviously drew in the derby. So Liverpool do want to have a response and kind of reset themselves. Won't be easy against Wolves, but I still think, they'll come out on top. Do my prediction early, Jules.
I was just going to say, we'll get your predictions in just a little bit. But for now, we're going to round up the remaining 3 fixtures involving teams fighting against relegation. And we'll start with Everton's trip to London to take on Crystal Palace.